fact that Einstein said coincidences are God's way of showing anonymity, something like that. I love it. There are no real coincidences in this world.
Well,
So.
the major hand at work. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Well, welcome again, everybody. As you can see, Global HR Business is on the air. And with us today from Köln, K-O-L-N, Köln, Germany, which is in English, Cologne. And that's right near Bonn, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, as I mentioned, I think last time, I produce a meeting there at some very traditional insurance company down the street from the big church cathedral. And then afterwards, we were given a tour of the cathedral, especially upstairs in the rafters. And that was very, very cool for me, I'll tell you. And so it's nice to have this relationship. And Ken Lloyd has been on, this is, I think, the third program.
Right.
And Ken is Dr. Ken Lloyd. What is your PhD in, please?
It's in organizational behavior from UCLA, studying human behavior at work. And then I see Annette with love and peace in companies, and definitely some great overlap.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I think we've already had the pleasure to talk to each other in one of your shows, Ed.
Yes.
Yes, good. I'm glad that you brought that up. So Ken and I have exchanged some information, and I'm going to pull it up here in just a second. The theme the brainstorm theme that I came up with after some wine was marketing myopia. And what the heck does that mean? So I thought of that because in a happy way, I remembered college and my major was marketing, and the prof is an older gentleman. Way back then, he was probably 70, 75, or looked it. I don't know. I was just a kid. But his thing was marketing myopia, and he went to Harvard Business School, but he didn't teach there. The guy, I can't remember his name, the famous professor at Harvard, marketing guy, guru, talked about marketing myopia, how companies get lost in the fog and they lose track of what their assets are and should be from a logical organic growth if they're thinking that way. So his example, and then I'm going to stop talking, was the old New York Central Railroad, okay, which was a really big deal, 40 years ago and 50 years ago and before, moving freight and passengers. Okay, so for some reason, the leadership of that railroad company didn't buy the land associated next to the tracks, which were everywhere, right? And other companies scooped up that land. And eventually, New York Central Railroad as a company went bankrupt, and because they didn't maximize their brand and the usefulness of that asset base. And so the teachers' lessons almost every day was, don't lose track about what business you can do. Don't stick to the knitting. Expand, and fail, and try again, and do something different, and make a deal with someone who wants to do that with you, because you can't do it alone. Dr. Ken Lloyd, what do you think of that?
Yeah, it's absolutely great. I think the professor was Theodore Levitt.
That's it, Ted Levitt.
Yeah, Ted Levitt. Yeah, I think in 1960 he actually coined the phrase "marketing myopia," and he certainly was a guru in the marketing arena. Yeah, basically, marketing myopia, it describes a behavior by companies that's nearsighted and narrow-minded, focusing more on their products and their services than on their customers' needs and wants. It's a very immediate kind of focus. It's short-term, and it's missing whatever else is going on. And sometimes it's really a reflection of hubris. We are so great. We are so big. We are so smart. We don't even have to look at the marketplace. We don't have to look at customers. We just go because we're doing it all. And who needs all that land by railroad tracks? You know, we're Penn Central, and other companies have fallen into the same trap. But it is a reflection of, you know, we're invincible. We don't have to really be all that concerned with what's going on out in the marketplace or in the world at large, because we are that great. And this is what happens. They're nearsighted. Literally, myopia is a perfect expression. They're not seeing beyond the walls of their entity in terms of what's going on out there in the world that's so important to them. Again, whether it's customers, technology, other global developments in their own neighborhood. Nope, we're too cool, we're too smart, we're too successful. And then they get into trouble.
Annette, tie this into what you do about peace and love within companies, especially amongst teams, and the same myopia kind of thing happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, I will come to this point in a second, because when I've been listening to you, Ken, I thought of there are so many more examples, like Nokia and other companies who thought, oh, we are the greatest, we are invincible. And this really leads me now to love and peace in companies. If I really have the attitude that I, as CEO, and I'm invincible, and my company is as well, then I will not listen neither to my employees nor to my customers. In my opinion, it's really now, especially in these changing times, or I even call them transformational times, it's so important to really to listen to my employees and to my customers as well. And for me, I've been working at a private university for some years, and I very often ask my students, so what's important when you are a salesperson? And they came up with different things, that you have to be a good talker, and many things like this. And I always said it's 3 things: to listen, and to listen. And for me, that's important not only for salespersons, but also to company leaders as well, because it's it's otherwise it's like you're sitting kind of in German we call it ivory tower, and you really lose the contact to people around, and it's always possible to do something. The only important thing is to kind of give up my attitude of being so powerful, to be more, let's say, humble, something like this, and to talk on eye level, to really appreciate the other persons, and to also to listen to my employees, because they have so many ideas, and they are also customers. They are not only employees, and they are really a very great asset for each company.
Ken?
Yeah, well, that's absolutely right. You talk about great salespeople. It's not the gift of gab. It's the gift of listening, of observing, of understanding. And that's part of being a great manager as well, to truly understand your employees as individuals in terms of their needs, their growth, their development, their careers. And that's very different from what you would see in a company that's premised on marketing myopia. That, yeah, we're just so great. And if employees come in with other ideas, they're not looked at as being creative providers of good inputs. They're rocking the boat. What's your problem? You know, we're doing so great here. Yeah, but have you noticed out there, there's something called the digital world, and we're all selling direct to other businesses. We're B2B, and it looks like D2C, direct to consumer, might be. No, you're just causing trouble. Instead of, we need to listen, we need to observe, we need to take it in, and be so glad our employees are willing to come in with ideas and suggestions and comments.
Yes.
It's amazing. Just think of Steve Jobs. He was doing desktop publishing, and then he never thought of telephones in 1985.
Yeah, absolutely. And he combined both sides. He certainly looked at his marketplace and used market research. But at the same time, I remember reading a book, the book about Steve Jobs, and it said, Henry Ford was once asked about market research, and he had said, this is attributed to Henry Ford. Well, if I asked customers what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Okay, so it's really pulling it all in. And the fact is that, frankly, that means they're not satisfied. So that tells you something. And for Steve Jobs, well, faster horses, what would that mean? What else can we do that might even be faster than horses? What else can we do? And not just taking what customers say, but building on it, building on what their needs are, and understanding they're not really satisfied. Very important to know that, because it's very easy just to continue looking inward and making the same mistakes. You know, where's our long-term planning? Where's our market research? What are our customers doing? What kinds of steps are we taking to really be ready for the next big play? And it's not just doing the same thing over and over, or you end up like Penn Central.
So I need to ask you, Annette, about immigration issues, and then we'll go back to marketing myopia. But frankly, the myopia is right here in America about immigration right now, that's for sure. And Germany has an issue also. So how can, this is just a blue sky question, and you can redirect me if you want, that's okay. But how can governments get out of their myopia when thinking about the immigration problem, and use the talent or discover what the talents are while they're in captivity before they run loose, and then figure out what to do with the talent rather than damn them, you know, or just hurt them, and you know, it's a moral issue as well. But let's just talk about practicality, the myopia. First,
So
Annette.
what we need in Germany is to give up all those bureaucratical, yeah, it's even kind of frontiers border. So just to give you an example, I've been I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and only some weeks ago we had a reunion. And in this reunion, it was about acquiring stuff from other countries. And there was a company, and they had some restaurants, and they had found some new cooks in Indonesia. And so they thought, okay, we'll onboard them, and then we'll have cooks for our restaurant. What really happened was that they had to, let's say, I'm exaggerating just a little bit. They had to do an application for an application to get the application for the application and the application. So what happened in practical was that they had already rented some flats for the cooks, and everything was organized. Only the cooks were not allowed to come to Germany. And so far this topic is not resolved. And the problem for the German restaurants is that the cooks are now waiting in Indonesia to come over to Germany, and it's longer than half a year, and nobody knows what's going to happen to them. And so it's possible that maybe somebody from the US or from another country will hire them, and then they can't come to Germany. And so that's really a long answer to a very short question. What we should do in Germany is to really have a very short process for these people to enter, because it's so many things. You have to prove that you are a cook. You have to prove that you are a cook, a German, according to German kind of laws, all these things. And I want to stop now, because there were so many slides, and they were packed with texts and the citations of different sentences from some laws and so on. And when I saw it, I thought it's unbelievable. And in my opinion, that's really a very big possibility and also opportunity for Germany to be even more competitive when it comes to employees, because at present employees are we don't have enough employees. And at the same time, it seems that the Germans also are kind of afraid, whom can we let into our country? It might be a person that's, oh, I don't know, what's going to happen. And this really would help to diminish the problem of lack of employees. And I would like to add a very personal thought from me. And for me, it's also this thought of being a little bit invincible, because we, as Germans, we think, oh, we are such a great country and everybody loves to come to Germany. And what is really going to happen to those people that are now living in Indonesia, that are coming to cold Germany, and they do not live together with their family and friends? And this for me is also, let's say, a social aspect. But I'll stop here. I think you can imagine that there are many thoughts in my head around this topic.
And there's a health issue as well. Ken?
Yeah, I wish there were an easy answer to this. I think clearly, the overall concept, I think, would be, frankly, Annette's specialty, peace and love. That's really what we would like in this country across the borders. I think that the U.S. has to devote a lot more resources, financial as well as human, to address the situation and make sure that we are meeting as many needs as we can, and some of which are in conflict. So no easy answer. One is not simply open up everything and say, okay, fine. And the other is not, let's essentially put these people in internment camps until we can figure out what to do with them. It just needs a lot more work. I mean, so many of these people are fleeing regimes that are absolutely intolerable for them. Others look still at America as a country of hope and prosperity for my family and my children and my grandchildren. I'm going to make this move. I just think we need, as a country, to step back and truly address it. And it doesn't happen by stalling bills and turning away from priorities like this. But no easy answer, but there never really is. But at least to the tough questions, they're not easy answers, but there are strategies. And I think we need to all get on one page and essentially do the right thing in this situation.
Thank you, Ken. I want to follow up now and just be sure we're on the same page here. We need to end this in about 10 minutes because of conflicts of schedules. But let's come back and do it again and grow the topic. The myopia that exists in Congress and the flames being fanned by politicians on the southern border. First of all, let me say this is not a political show. It's all about HR, human resources, in a business context. And so negating the myopia that could exist, I'm trying to expand the reach of this program to get thinkers from across borders, from across cultures. So what are some practical steps, Ken, Lloyd, for leaders, just call them leaders, to suggest, and then they can put heads together and come up with a law or a rule or step-by-step approach, even if there has to be some well-meaning internment camps built?
Yeah, again, looking just at the internment camp situation, yes, if they're really there to literally help the people, and maybe even instead of calling them internment camps, maybe these are training camps. Maybe these are camps we can help build some skills for these individuals.
Like a university.
Well, yeah, if you will. But so they're not just sitting there and being separated from other family members, but rather getting some education, tools. There's a lot of industries that people can pick up skills in to move into. I think myopia in terms of leadership has to get beyond the walls and fighting with each other. And let's look at what we were really in office to do, to lead the country, to help the country go on a path, find a direction, pursue it. And let's put some of the petty arguing and time wasting aside. We've got major issues to address. And frankly, you mentioned human resources. These are all humans coming into the country. And frankly, all of them can be looked at as resources. Now, are we going to develop these resources? Or are we just simply going to look at yesterday, look internally, and have our own form of myopia and let this ridiculous situation continue without being addressed, strategized, and then let's get some real near-term and longer-term goals and pursue them? It's not being approached in a real, if you will, business-like way. It's being approached with a form of myopia.
Yeah, the same thing is going on right here in San Diego, and I don't know about LA, but I'm assuming with the homeless situation. And it's just, there's some very well-meaning people, and for some reason, there's a court case in California, from the Supreme Court in California, that says it's against the law for the police and others to pick up homeless people and put them somewhere. They have a right, because they don't have money, they have a right to be somewhere and live. And that's where the logjam is, at least here in San Diego. And it's an awful problem. They're not in my neighborhood, but they are very close. Anyway, thank you for playing my game here today on marketing myopia. Annette, tell me about the team work that you're doing, Love and Peace Within Teams, and that's relating to a new drive on your part to expand your current business framework.
Yeah, actually, it's everything that I've experienced so far in my life, and also in the life of my business, is now coming together, because I've been working with a lot of teams, and I was very often called from the boss to kind of adjust his team. And then I'd been working with a team, and it was obvious that there were some, let's say, some regulations from the boss, which made it kind of impossible or difficult for the team to perform as the CEO had wanted them to perform. And that's why I now say that it's so important to have this, what I call kind of 360-degree side. So everything starts with me. Am I content with me and myself and my life? Then I can be content with my employees as well. Then it goes on with the language in teams, and also the culture, how to solve conflicts, as conflicts aren't the problem, it's how they are being resolved. And with an attitude of appreciation and also love, and I really call it love. And what I mean is the love that we have amongst us human. It's not romantic love. If you really have this love for another person, then we appreciate him or her as what we all are, really very important and valuable beings. And if this attitude finds more, let's say, sponsors and company or people who follow this idea, in my opinion, it will be a completely other workplace. And we are now in times of transformation, and we all know that we can't solve the problems with the same methods as they have arisen. And for me, it's also very important what we've been saying at the beginning with the coincidences. For me, it's also an energetical, and even I call it even spiritual thing. And I know so many people who share the similar ideas around the globe. And for me, it's now the time to really connect to other like-minded people and to share the idea of the oneness and of being connected with so many people. It's not only with my team, but to a much bigger audience and a much bigger amount of humans.
Thank you very much, Annette. And please come back and come into the next global meeting room. The sooner the better. Ken, thank you. Would you like to sum up about how we can, as business people, avoid myopia?
Yeah, I think frankly, we need to be, let's tie in with what Annette is saying, we need to be employee-centric and we need to be customer-centric. We need to know what's going on with our customers. And that's not just a buzzword, it's really to get out there, gather data and do it. We need real marketing research. We need long-term, short-term goals. We need to watch what the competition is doing. And we need to really embrace change. And that means much wider than in our organization. And then frankly, in terms of leading, we don't want to be, if you will, I don't even know if this is an expression out there, but myopic managers. We need to try to understand our employees, what their needs are, and treat them with respect and trust. And if they do come in with ideas, welcome it, encourage it, and build from there. So we're not being myopic internally or externally.
Thank you for being my guest on Global Business News TV. And I'll send out a notice request. And if that date that I suggest is not good, redirect me and let's put it together. Thank you for being again on TV with me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.